Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Life's Good. The sun is shining, it's a bit cloudy, but the wind is pretty cold, and I'm needing to wrap up warm today while I'm out here in the garden. Now that led me to think on about hardening off, or toughening up, as my dad used to call it. I grow most of my seeds, plants, in the greenhouse, and that's quite a warm environment for them. Now you can't take them from that warm environment and put them straight out into the garden. The temperature variation is so extreme that you can shock the plants into stunted growth or even kill them. So we go through a process that we call hardening off, where you gradually acclimatize them to the change in temperature. Now I'll take you in the greenhouse in a minute and explain a little bit about the heat and the warmth and the climate in the greenhouse prior to moving the plants on and finally putting them in the ground. Okay guys, well in my earlier videos I showed you how I set up the greenhouse ready to start sowing seeds, and insulated it with bubble wrap, and I used that small radiator to keep the atmosphere warm, keep the climate warm, and provide a nice growing environment for my seeds, and everything came on really well. The last few weeks I haven't had to use the radiator very much, although there was a couple of frosty evenings where I did put it on just to keep the chill off. And during the day now, we've had some sunny days. I've been able to open the door of the greenhouse and allow the temperature inside to stabilize with the temperature outside. Now this is all part of the hardening off process. The plants that grow in here are quite delicate, and you don't want to take them from this warm, comfortable environment and pop them in the garden outside where the temperature variation is quite extreme. So what we do is we either open the door and allow the air temperature to stabilize in the greenhouse, or more conveniently I remove the trays from the greenhouse and sit them outside during the day so that they get the sun on their leaves and get used to the daytime temperatures, and then bring them back in at night. But after a few days they've gotten used to the temperature changes, and you can quite safely put them in the ground, and they should continue to grow quite well. As you can see, I've got a few trays sitting on top of my chicken house. I've brought these out this morning. I sit them there. It's a convenient spot for them. They're facing the sun, and they are gradually getting used to the daytime temperatures prior to them being completely hardened off, and I can then plant them in the ground. Now this process I'll do over 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days. I'll have them out during the day and then pop them back in the greenhouse at night until I'm satisfied that the nighttime temperatures are not going to be too cold and I can leave them outside permanently. Well, I've been putting out my sorrel this morning, a couple of rows here on the bed. Now these I've had outside during the day over the last 4 days. I've been bringing them out, leaving them out, popping them back in the greenhouse during the night time. But the last night they remained out. They're absolutely fine, and I consider these hardened off enough now that I can put them in the ground and they will continue growing here quite happily. Now if we do get some extremely cold weather, and it does get down to frost levels, in the early days of them being out here, I will consider putting fleece over them just to give them that little bit of protection until they're really strong and can put up with 0 temperatures. This is a roll of the fleece that I use to cover my plants when they're in the ground. I think I bought this from my local Wilkinson's store, just a few pounds for a large roll. I think there's about 8 meters on here, and it's about 1.5 meters wide. It's all folded up and rolled up, but this material is absolutely ideal to protect your plants during really frosty nights and cold days. Air passes through it, and water will pass through it, so when it rains the plants get watered, or if you water the plants on the ground, the water will pass through this. But it just affords that little bit of protection for the plants during really cold nights and days, of course, whilst they're growing and maturing until they're strong enough to withstand the variations of temperatures that we have. Now I'm going to carry on putting out my sorrel. I've got a few other things to do today. I hope this has been of help to you. The hardening off process, where we gradually acclimatise the plants to go in the ground outside from their early days in the warmth and comfort of the greenhouse. Well, whatever you're doing, guys, you take care, enjoy yourselves, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you again soon on the Life's Good. Bye bye now. Now, start again, AJ. Well, guys, right, start again.